Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Mandy. This is an 8-inch square canvas. If you have been keeping up with some of the Orange Crush color palettes, I have just enough left, I think, to do this bloom. And then we'll be done with Orange Crush for now. It's a beautiful color. So I'm going to use kind of some similar color palettes, or similar colors, but I'm going to do it on this 8-inch canvas because it was the fastest thing for me to prep. So if you saw the last bloom, where I finally got what I was looking for for the third time, it did crack a little bit when it dried, and I was afraid of that because of how much paint was on it, but I can fix it with touching it up with a brush. So I'm gonna do that. So first, just in case you don't use these very often, this is a gallery wrapped canvas. So the reason why sometimes these are challenging is because they tend to be a little bit wrinkled on the corners. So once you tape the back, you get a little purified water and you spray the back. It helps tighten up the canvas because you really kind of want it to be tight, right? But if you just spray the back and you don't spray the corners, you'll get these corners that are kind of like sad. So if you spray the top really nicely and just kind of spread it around as well, it tightens up the corners and the middle. So you just let it mostly dry before you use it. So like if I know I'm going to use it, I'll do that first. So just a tip in case you did not know that. I realize most of you already know that, but just for funsies. Okay, so I'm going to use the Valspar 2000, again, PPG Multi-Pro is my favorite white pillow paint, but I'm using what I have so I can use it. So I'm going to tell you the colors as I go just to make this a little bit faster, because some of them I've already used in the past. I'm going to do my best to not obsess about corners, and if the corners get covered, they get covered. Sometimes it actually looks kind of cool when there's paint on the sides, and you know, the corners are not like a big deal, but I am going to put a little white paint there just to kind of help. So what I basically did is I picked up the Orange Crush, because we're going to go ahead and use that up, I think. And I picked up some McCaw Blue because I have just enough left for a bloom. And I picked up the Rhapsody Rose because I have just enough left for a bloom, I think. Maybe I'm overstating how much paint I should be using. I also picked up the Chiffon Pink because I have just enough left. So I figured that this would kind of be like a, you know, an Orange Crush, you know, bloom to use it up, and then whatever could go with that color palette we would use together, right? So that's kind of what I'm doing. So just kind of wetting my edges here. Sometimes this paint doesn't flow very easily on these canvases. As soon as I start painting, here comes a gnat. Little jerk. I hate them. Sorry, I'm gonna obsessively kill this gnat real quick if I can find it. Now he's hiding from me. You should hide. You should tell all your family members too. Anyway, something about resin and paint that attracts anything that possibly could be around, right? Flies, if they're in the house, which thankfully they're not. All right, so now that I wasted 4 minutes of your life, let me show you the colors. I am going to use, I really liked the use of the Sterling Wax White Boom Gel the last time with the blue Cell Activator. Ooh, I don't have that. Let me go get that. Anyway, I liked the way it looked. I was tempted to use like a different boom gel and use my white Cell Activator, but I have quite a bit of the blue black. I know it kind of performs pretty well when I use a hairdryer, so I'm just gonna do that today, you know? So first thing, and if you've been watching the videos, you know that we've been trying to use up some paint. So this is Emperor's Gold with a little bit of Solar Flare in it. It's a paint that I've rescued that's been mixed up for too long. So we're gonna put it underneath. It's a little bit thick, so I probably need to drizzle it versus puddling it, but I mean, I did what I did, you know what I mean? So there's that. And I'm kind of putting it down toward the bottom because it has been thinned out and revived and all of that, and sometimes that can mess with the consistency right under your Cell Activator. I've learned, unfortunately, through experience. So then I'm going to use the Orange Crush, I think. I have just enough of the Chiffon Pink. This is Chiffon Pink. This is from the Frosted Sorbet Colourarte set, and they're very large frosty particulates, so they're so fun to have in a smaller layer, or in a bottom layer in your bloom, because they peek through really nicely. So we're going to use the Orange Crush next. I love the way the gold looks behind the Orange Crush. It gives it a nice, beautiful added push of shimmer. So we're just going to use it up. It might be a lot of orange. So if I bond this, then we have to go a completely different direction. But this is the Orange Crush. This is a Prism Pour color from Colourarte. By the way, I'm using almost all Colourarte today. I do have a 20% discount using Mandy1120 on the Colourarte website, and a link below. I think she was actually still running a special. I don't know if that ended yet. I forgot, so forgive me. But sometimes the house code goes with the special, so make sure you pay attention on the website so you get the best deal. But I love Primary Elements. I love the interference colors. I love the Prism Pour colors. I love the resin art. I really love the Vivid Intense Fluid Acrylics, and she just released the Purely Pigments, so I'm excited to try those. So I'm definitely a major Colourarte girl. But there are a lot of discounts in the description box, so make sure you check it out. This is the pink chiffon. I also have, resin discounts. I'm going to use Australian Floetrol in my Cell Activator, so I've got the 10% discount from Pixel Paint Designs in there for my Floetrol. That's also where I get my boom gels from. She ships from the United States, so very reasonable prices on the Australian Floetrol. And she runs sales sometimes too, so don't forget to check the description box. Sometimes I forget to tell you what's in there, but there is a lot. My Amazon storefront is in there. I mean, there's a lot in there. So next up, we are going to use Rhapsody Rose, and I'm definitely using more color than I need to, but I am just going to go ahead and use up the color, and I'm actually going to use my pink chiffon paddle. So this is a gorgeous color. I'm probably just going to end up mixing this right back up. Okay, so there's that. Probably got way too much paint in the center here. And yep, I do. That's okay. Oh gosh, just got it on my paddle. Okay, next up, I'm going to use up the rest of the McCaw blue, and I have just a little bit left. And so the McCaw blue is a Prism Pour color. I used it in that bloom I released on Christmas Eve, the one that was called like a Fa La 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 Fabulous Bloom or something. I almost used it all up in that video, but I had just enough to not throw away. So here it is. Not throwing it away. We don't want to waste things. And then I'm kind of torn at this point. So I've been using a lot of Rouge Violet because I love it. But now I'm kind of like, okay, should we skip the Rouge Violet because we have the Rhapsody Rose, or should we use just a little bit of it? I also need to use this Passive Flower color. I have just enough left to, oh, never mind, it dried out, so that makes up our mind. I probably have another purple though, so that doesn't necessarily solve the problem. I do, I have this Acai Berry. So we could use a little bit of this guy. So kind of a warmer purple. Kind of a plum, if you will. Well, I guess it depends on what your interpretation is of plum. So we could drizzle a little bit. This one's a little thick, actually. Yikes, very thick. So since I don't have my Sonja in here to thin that down, we'll put that guy to the side and deal with that in a minute. And now I wish you guys could tell me whether we should use a Phthalo Turquoise or the Rouge Violet on the top. You know what? We don't have to decide. We can do both. So let's do both. So Rouge Violet, this is a Vivid Intense color from Colourarte. So we'll drizzle. And then we will do the Phthalo Turquoise. Phthalo Turquoise from Colourarte Vivid Intense is a little bit greener than maybe like a golden. So it's cool because if you already have the golden, this gives you a little bit of a different shade. So this is a fluid acrylic. So yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing, obviously. And then we're going to use the Wax White. I used a lot of that. We're going to use the Wax White Boom Gel, just to make sure I didn't cover this guy up because it's so pretty. We're going to use the Wax White Boom Gel. So the point of using the Boom Gel, I'm using the Boom Gel here in place of like a regular white paint, acrylic paint. And it took such a long time now, I'm kind of nervous about my edges. Anyway, if you saw my last, I don't really have time to explain it without making this too long, but if you saw my last video, Boom Gels don't quite muddy up like with your other colors the same way, even though they are acrylic paint, but they don't quite muddy up as easily. So you can, I have so much paint on here, you guys. you can sometimes get some cool effects without them necessarily muting everything about your paint. So I'm gonna just drizzle it on the top because I want some of that nice white color in my cells without being like the main event. So my only issue with boom gels is they are a little bit hard to squeeze. Okay. Now, wipe my hands a little bit. We're going to use the blue-black Cell Activator from Atelier. It's mixed with Australian Floetrol. It is a thicker paint, so it's a little thicker than like you might get with an Amsterdam, which is why I kind of like to use the blow dryer. Oh, I was going to do an interference Cell Activator, like an Amsterdam Pearl. It's been forever since I did that, and I saw Tracy Reed do one the other day, and the bloom turned out beautiful, and I was like, man, I haven't done that in a long time. So I need to do it soon, but I also need to use like what I already have up, you know, and that's probably too much. Okay. So we're going to use the Cool Air, using the Babyliss hair dryer, Cool Air low fan. That was really ugly right there. I don't know why. My paint all of a sudden was like super thick. So now I'm very nervous. We'll see. Let's let it develop for a little bit. I'm kind of nervous about this part right here. I'm hoping that what develops around it is distractingly pretty in some way. I definitely used a little bit too much Cell Activator. The cool thing about this though is it will continue to develop, and the fact that we used a boom gel will help those cells peek through. For some reason it's just very cell reactive, the boom gel. So I'm just going to pop bubbles while we let it open up a little bit. And I'm also going to try to catch some of my Cell Activator, like right here. Okay, now I need to let it alone for a little bit. What's coming through is beautiful, but we do have a lot of opportunity for development here in the middle. Now this is the part that I messed up, and I don't know how well you can see it from how far out you're zoomed, but while I'm tempted to try to mess with it, I think anything I do would make it worse than it is. So I think we'll leave it alone. I am concerned about the lack of development in the center, but I think there's just a little bit too much. But what I find is if you overdo it to break this surface tension, you get some really weird looking cells in the middle that probably would have been better off just letting it develop. And now my corners are not perfectly covered, and I'm just going to choose to be okay with that because obsessing over corners has never done me any good. So I think it'll develop a little bit as it spins out, so let's just go ahead and start spinning. There's a lot of paint on that surface, and unfortunately, some of the cute parts are going to go over the side, which is nice. It's nice to have them go over the side and see that cute drippage down the side, but I would prefer to have them up here, obviously. It is opening up a little bit in the middle. It's so much cuter than I thought it would be out here. A little concerned about the center, but the colors are great together considering it's sort of a cocktail. I mean the colors went together for sure, but it's sort of a cocktail of colors. Okay, so now I've got some drippage down the sides. I think my corners are just going to kind of stay undone. I'm just going to have to live with it. Apparently that's the way it goes with square canvases, and I'm just going to have to be cool with it. And honestly, it looks better to have these like naked white corners than have like muddy paint where you made the effort to cover them. So there's that. So let's see. Man, it's really pretty. I'm kind of gonna miss you, Orange Crush, until next time we mix you up. It's been fun to play with it. I think that's kind of a fun way to kind of force yourself to try different things when you're using up some paint, because you're like, okay, I'm using this color, I'm determined to use it so I don't throw it away. And then you're like, okay, what are the 50 million things I can do with orange? And, you know, how can I tweak a color palette that I sort of worked on and I really liked? What happens if I change the order? What happens if I change the Cell Activator? What happens if I change one or two colors? So we're seeing some nice development in here. I'm very tempted to blow into that because leaving too much right here can cause all of this to get wobbly. The problem is if you blow into it, sometimes you get ugly cells, and I've already blown into it a couple times. So I'm gonna hit it right here very gently to break the surface tension, and then I'm gonna leave it alone. And then we're gonna spin it. And if it develops, it develops. If it never changes, fine. I think a couple more cells will peek through and help break that up a little bit. This was a lot more paint than it looked like when we started this bloom. So I'm a little nervous that there's too much on there. I'm tempted to keep spinning for kind of insurance to make sure that we have enough paint off, but I'm also afraid that I'm gonna start, because if you spin too much, you start to get cells that are kind of sad. Like they start to pull toward the edge and you lose your cute little plump cells. And they start to, I don't know how to describe it, but they start to kind of like go sad. So I think we're gonna leave it. I'm gonna bring you down for a close-up, and I'm gonna do my best to cover it so that it doesn't crack. And I'm just gonna take my chances. My sides look great, except for the very corners, and you know what? That actually doesn't look bad. It looks way better than when I tried to fix them myself. We do keep getting these dumb measles because of the paint. Some of it's the house paint and not even the color. But I think it turned out really pretty. A lot of the white is out toward the edges, so I think I blew too hard with the hairdryer initially, so I didn't get as much of the effect that I wanted throughout. You can see it in some places, like here and here, but a lot of it's out toward the edges, so I may have just blown too hard. I got real comfortable with the hairdryer and just kind of went to town. So, you know, these are all just things you kind of learn. It's not necessarily a critique. It's just what I wanted was this, I'll show you in the close-up, but this like white little edge in the cells kind of all over the piece, especially in the middle, and it's mostly on the outside. So let me bring you down. Okay, so as it stands now, I really do love it. So very vibrant, obviously. You can see like this right here, you can see that white, that's kind of what I wanted all over, and it may show more as it dries, but obviously the way I blew it out, you see more of it on the outside, but it kind of looks like we did that on purpose, so if no one was here, they wouldn't know. But we got great peacock cells. Look at the multiple layers of color in those cells. I love, with yellows and oranges, I love this effect, where you put it down toward the bottom and a darker color encapsulates that light color. I just think that looks so cool. Same thing with right there. And we have some cute development here with the white. So you have to let me know what you think. Have you enjoyed the Orange Crush saga? I hope so, because we probably have a sour lemon saga coming. So here's our sides. Naked corners. Ooh. Naked, naked. The sides are beautiful though, so I can dig it, you know? So yeah, thanks for watching, and let me know what you think. Thank you for all your support. Don't forget to check out the description box. If you're new, let me know you're here, and I appreciate all of the support. Bye.